Welcome to English Avenue YouTube, the channel to learn English the easy way. Let's start. In a serene and picturesque village, nestled between rolling green hills and sprawling meadows that stretched as far as the eye could see, lived a young boy named Nathaniel. From the earliest years of his childhood, his insatiable curiosity about the world around him knew no bounds. Every morning, as the golden rays of the sun bathed the land in warmth, he would set off on his daily adventures, eager to uncover the secrets hidden within the forests, rivers, and endless fields of wildflowers. He spent countless hours chasing vibrant butterflies that danced in the breeze, listening to the symphony of birds singing in the treetops, and observing the gentle flow of the nearby river, fascinated by the way it carved its path through the valley. Nathaniel was never one to sit still. His soul craved the thrill of discovery, the exhilaration of stepping into the unknown. Each day, he would embark on new explorations, climbing the tallest trees to touch the sky, wandering into mysterious woodland paths in search of hidden treasures, and imagining grand tales of adventure inspired by the wonders of nature. He believed that every rock, every leaf, and every whisper of the wind carried a story waiting to be uncovered. His heart pulsed with an unquenchable thirst for knowledge, and his mind brimmed with questions about the vast and marvelous world beyond the familiar confines of his village. To those around him, Nathaniel was not just an ordinary boy. He was a dreamer, an adventurer at heart, a seeker of wonders in a world that often overlooked the beauty in the smallest of things. But little did he know that the greatest adventure of his life was yet to begin. Nathaniel belonged to a family whose faith was deeply rooted in their way of life. Every evening, before gathering around the dinner table, they took a quiet moment to express their gratitude, not only for the food they were about to share, but also for the roof over their heads, the warmth of their home, and the many blessings, both big and small, that life bestowed upon them each day. For them, faith was not merely a belief. It was a guiding light, a source of strength in times of uncertainty, and a reminder that no matter how unpredictable the world might seem, they were never truly alone. His parents made sure that he understood the value of this unwavering trust in something greater than himself. They taught him that faith was not only about prayers spoken in hushed tones before meals, or the traditions they followed, but also about kindness, resilience, and the quiet certainty that even in the darkest moments, there was always a path forward. His mother often told him stories of miracles, of times when, against all odds, their prayers had been answered, reminding him that faith was not just about waiting for good things to happen, but about believing even when they seemed impossible. His father, on the other hand, showed him through actions rather than words, demonstrating patience, honesty, and compassion in his everyday life, teaching Nathaniel that true faith was reflected in the way one lived. Though he was still young, Nathaniel absorbed these lessons like a sponge. He did not always understand the mysteries of the world, nor did he have all the answers to the questions that filled his mind. But he knew one thing for certain: faith was the thread that connected his family, giving them hope in difficult times and filling their hearts with gratitude in moments of joy. One afternoon, while Nathaniel was playing near the old stone well in the heart of the village, he suddenly heard a soft whisper calling his name. At first, he thought it was merely the wind weaving through the trees, a trick of his imagination. But then the voice came again, clearer this time, deliberate and unmistakable. Startled, he glanced around, his heart pounding slightly in his chest. The field stretched endlessly before him, bathed in the golden light of the setting sun, and the gentle breeze carried the distant laughter of children playing nearby. Yet, there was no one in sight who could have spoken to him. A shiver ran down his spine. Was someone hiding? He took a cautious step closer to the well, peering into its depths. But all he saw was the still dark water far below. He turned, his eyes scanning the surroundings once more. Then the voice came again, firm yet filled with an indescribable warmth. "Nathaniel, do not be afraid. I am a messenger of the Almighty." His breath caught in his throat. The words seemed to echo within him rather than around him, resonating in a way that was both foreign and familiar. It was not a voice he had ever heard before, yet it carried a strange sense of comfort, as though it had always been there, waiting for the right moment to speak. His fingers tightened into fists at his sides as he tried to steady himself. Was this real? Was his mind playing tricks on him? A mixture of awe and uncertainty filled him, but deep inside, something told him that this was no ordinary moment. A shiver ran down Nathaniel's spine, a strange yet overwhelming mixture of awe and trepidation settling over him. He had heard countless tales of divine messengers appearing to people in ancient times. Stories passed down through generations, whispered in reverence by elders around the village fire. Yet, never in his wildest dreams had he imagined that he would experience something so extraordinary himself. His breath came in shallow gasps as he tried to process the moment, his mind racing with questions. Why him? Why now? What did this all mean? But before he could find his voice to ask, the mysterious presence spoke again, its words carrying both urgency and reassurance. "You have been chosen for an important mission," the voice continued, steady and unwavering. "You must embark on a journey to find the tree of faith." Nathaniel's eyes widened. He had never heard of such a tree before, but something about the name stirred a deep curiosity within him. "This sacred tree lies hidden deep within the heart of the forest," the messenger explained, "and its leaves hold the power to grant wisdom to those who truly believe." Nathaniel swallowed hard, his pulse quickening. The very thought of venturing into the forest alone sent a ripple of apprehension through him. Though he had always loved exploring the outskirts of the woods, venturing deep into its unknown depths was another matter entirely. Legends spoke of creatures lurking in the shadows, of paths that led wanderers astray, and of mysteries that had never been unraveled. But beyond the apprehension, something else burned inside him, an unshakable pull toward the unknown, a yearning to discover what lay beyond the familiar. He had always longed for an adventure, and now, destiny itself had placed one before him. With a deep breath, he steadied himself, his hands clenched into determined fists. If this was truly his calling, he would not shy away. He would find this tree of faith, no matter what challenges awaited him along the way. Nathaniel's heart pounded with exhilaration. He had never embarked on a journey so far beyond the boundaries of his familiar world, but something deep within him assured him that this was his destiny. If this path had been laid before him, then he was meant to walk it. Without hesitation, he gathered a small satchel, filling it with whatever provisions he could carry, some dried fruit, a small loaf of bread, and a flask of water. Taking one last look at his home, he inhaled deeply and stepped forward, disappearing into the embrace of the vast forest, guided only by the whispering wind that seemed to call his name. The journey proved far more challenging than he had imagined. Towering trees stretched endlessly in all directions, their branches intertwining to form an intricate maze of shadow and light. The sun barely pierced through the thick canopy, leaving him to navigate his way by instinct. He crossed rushing rivers, carefully stepping over slippery stones as the water roared beneath him. He climbed steep hills that left his legs aching, pushing forward despite the burning strain. He tore through dense undergrowth, his arms scratched by thorny vines as he forced his way deeper into the unknown. At times, exhaustion threatened to overcome him, his body yearning for rest. The weight of uncertainty loomed over him, whispering doubts into his mind. Was he truly meant to find this tree? Had he misunderstood the message? What if he was lost, wandering aimlessly in pursuit of something that did not exist? But each time despair crept close, he would pause, close his eyes, and whisper a prayer. In those quiet moments, he would feel an unexplainable warmth fill his chest, a presence that reassured him, urging him to press on. The doubt would fade, replaced by an unwavering determination. He realized then that faith was not about having all the answers. It was about stepping forward even when the path ahead was uncertain. It was about trusting that every step, no matter how difficult, had a purpose. With renewed resolve, Nathaniel pressed forward, his spirit unshaken, his heart filled with the certainty that something extraordinary awaited him beyond the horizon. After what felt like an eternity, Nathaniel finally reached the heart of the forest. There, standing tall above everything else, was the magnificent tree of faith. Its colossal branches stretched toward the heavens, as if yearning to touch the sky, while its leaves shimmered under the golden sunlight, glowing as though they had been blessed by divine hands. The very air around it felt different, sacred, filled with an unexplainable tranquility that soothed his weary soul. Overcome with emotion, he stepped forward, his breath hitching in his throat. Every fiber of his being told him that he had arrived at a place of great significance. With careful hands, he reached out and plucked a single leaf from the tree, holding it close to his chest. It felt warm against his skin, as though it carried a life of its own, pulsating with an energy beyond his understanding. "Oh, sacred tree," he whispered, his voice trembling with reverence. "Grant me the wisdom to see beyond my fears, the strength to always choose what is right, and the faith to trust in the path laid before me." The moment the words left his lips, a soft, radiant glow surrounded him, bathing him in a warmth unlike anything he had ever known. It was as if the very essence of the universe had embraced him, filling every corner of his heart with an indescribable peace. The doubts that had once plagued him vanished like mist before the morning sun. He felt lighter, as though an invisible weight had been lifted from his shoulders. In that sacred moment he knew beyond any doubt that his prayers had been heard. The tree of faith had answered, not with words, but with a gift far greater than anything he could have imagined. The certainty that he was never alone, that faith was not about seeing but believing, and that no matter how uncertain the journey, he would always find his way. With newfound confidence and a heart filled with unwavering faith, Nathaniel began his journey back to his village, carrying the precious leaf as a testament to the miracle he had witnessed. Every step he took felt lighter, as if he was no longer just walking but gliding, guided by an invisible force that reassured him he was on the right path. The doubts that had once clouded his mind were gone, replaced by a deep understanding that faith was not about waiting for certainty, but about moving forward despite uncertainty. When he finally arrived home, the village gathered around him, drawn by the radiance of his presence and the wisdom in his eyes. With great emotion, Nathaniel recounted every moment of his extraordinary journey, how he had faced daunting challenges, how he had wrestled with his fears, and how, in the end, he had been rewarded with something far greater than he had ever imagined. His words carried weight, and his story ignited a spark in those who listened. The village, once quiet and routine, began to transform. People no longer saw faith as a mere tradition or something distant, but as a living force that guided their lives. They believed in the power of hope, in the strength that came from trusting in the unseen, and in the kindness that flourished when one walked with conviction. What had once been a place of simple existence became a community full of purpose, where faith was not just spoken of, but lived in everyday actions. Years passed, and Nathaniel grew into a wise and revered elder. He continued to share the lessons he had learned, reminding everyone that true faith was not merely about believing in what could not be seen, but about acting with trust even when the path ahead was uncertain. He taught that miracles were not always grand displays of divine intervention, but often small moments of grace, the whispers of reassurance in times of doubt, the courage to continue when fear threatened to hold one back. As generations came and went, Nathaniel's story lived on, passed from parents to children, from elders to the young. It became more than just a tale. It became a guiding light, a testament to the power of faith. And so his legacy endured, a reminder that faith is not just about belief, but about action, about stepping forward with courage, and about trusting that as long as it resides within our hearts, miracles will always be possible.